Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell. Opening hymn. Let's do it from the Prince of Egypt. Not believe. There's false doctrine in that, even though that scene is appropriate. Let's search the soundtrack. Deliver us. Yeah, let's do Deliver Us. And of course, September. The date of delivery. With a very catastrophic results. As you can tell, I've been pushing information on you this month about September 22nd, as that's Joseph Smith's date for the latter days, and I've had to go into great detail, and Mormons don't watch, so I do a summary, and Mormons complain and argue because they didn't get the detail. So, I've already done all of the fulfillment of prophecy videos to this point, from 2017 to the current day, as the 22nd September has not yet happened. Here's one where I'm doing a full-on warning blitz about the 22nd, Wednesday, as a thief in the night. And the reason why I'm so bold in confidence is unless the enemy is listening and considers me a significant threat to warn the populace, as I was in the beginning, it's going to happen. But they've purposely silenced me so that they can proceed as scheduled. And if you'll notice on my both my channels, TWG and Travis Wayne Goodsell, you will notice that my subscribers come nowhere close to the amount of views that I get per video. What happened? These were people who liked what they heard and have just disappeared for the most part. Well, it's because they're dead. It's not enough just to watch my videos and like what you hear. You have to actually hearken to what I'm telling you. That's why this push for September 22nd is so bold. Because previously, lives were not in immediate danger. This one, however, lives will be in immediate danger. Just as with the coronavirus, which nobody took much seriously with. Nobody listened to the medical professionals in the beginning, and now they're dead. Fulfilling Joseph Smith's story about the 22nd of September, as he was told about Deuteronomy, but replaced one word with the word that's in Acts, But then in the Joseph Smith history gives a different wording than Acts that he claims was quoted exactly, rather than the Deuteronomy passage. And so I've got playlists on both channels in which I go over in very lengthy video series how to have a checklist for the Mormon Christ. And when I say Mormon Christ, I don't mean the Mormon version of the Christian Christ. You're not listening. Joseph Smith clearly said and used the first vision to help illustrate it in simple detail that the Christian Christ is an abomination in his sight. It's very clear that it's the Christ after the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. Yes, that's in the Book of Mormon. Imagine. And so he's a man like Moses. That's the Christ of the Jews. And for the latter days, they are looking specifically for a man like Moses. And so when Joseph Smith in section 103 verse 16 says, "A man like Moses from among my people," Joseph is telling us he's going to be a Mormon. And that's obviously difficult for many to handle if you've refused to accept that the Jews have anything of value to offer and that we must be Christian. And if you hadn't been paying attention to the prophecies that have already been fulfilled, they're occurring in accordance with Jewish holidays. And so there is a connection with the latter day signs, with Jewish holy days and Egyptian. And I go over a checklist of who to look for among the Mormons. He has to fulfill the checklist. If he doesn't fulfill the prophecies, he's a false Christ. You know, like Jesus. Jesus was not intended to be a real person in history. He was another latter-day prophecy story. And Joseph Smith himself, along with the first vision, and along with section 103, telling us he's a man like Moses, therefore the story of Moses are prophecies about him. So too does Joseph confirm in section 45 that Jesus is also stories prophesying about this Mormon, as he uses Matthew 24 of Jesus talking about him in the latter days. So let's go over one of the births. There's several births, and they mean different things in prophecy. There's his actual birth, which I've gone over in the series, that you're looking for someone who was born March 17th, 1970. And Ezekiel tells us the location of where he's going to be born and live, and where he'll move to. But we're not going over him. We're going over other events in the first year. So that birth, the starting of the latter days, which is 2017. Because the big sign, the birth sign, is the start of the latter days. 23rd September 2017. So 2017 is the starting of the latter days. And so with the story of Moses, you have baby Moses and him sailing up the Nile to be in the house of Pharaoh as the queen finds him at the riverbank. And he's taught and educated in Pharaoh's Heliopolis court, because he's not the firstborn birthright blessing son who gets taught in Karnak with his daddy. He gets to go to Heliopolis instead. That was real history of what would have happened. And there are clues similar to that, but when you're dealing with prophecy, you have to understand that he's not an Egyptian, he's not in Egypt, the latter days will not be in Egypt either. They're code. That's what prophecy is. Code. You have to decipher the code. So you can't be so literally specific, because you'll be looking beyond the mark. And so you look for patterns among the various prophecies dealing with the same subject time frame. And so what you have then that is similar is you have a government and a religious leader who are not the right government and religious leader, because it's supposed to be Moses or Jesus or Nephi or the Last Days Mormon. So no, it's not Nelson. That should have been obvious. What you also have that is common in at least two of the stories, and sort of in Samson, but Samson is not a baby that dies, or there's no other babies that die, but there is a young lion that dies at the beginning. And that's the first day of darkness. And so we see that there are 3 days of darkness, which is a common pattern. And so that corresponds starting with 2017 as well. So, yep, 21st of August 2017, there was indeed a total solar eclipse. Prophecy fulfilled. The sign of the birth, which was not the birth, because it was not 1970, it was 17th of March, as I've gone over in those other videos for you, and I'm sort of skipping ahead. And so it incorporates lots of different things, as Joseph Smith gave priesthood to women, priesthood office to women on that day, in 1842. In 1839, Brigham usurped Joseph's authority and had Thomas B. Marsh excommunicated, who was the president of the 12. So Brigham Young cooed the 12 apostles, with that date of 17th of March. And so you refer to Deuteronomy 19, which says that Brigham Young must be therefore cooed. So then you refer to section 85, and ta-da! There's the coup scripture prophecy. And sure enough, it's the last days Mormon. There's also death of babies. And if you didn't know, Trump was murdering babies, not just separating them from their nursing mothers at the southern border. He had been doing that the very next day of his presidency. The paper had been leaked 2 years later, and so it is confirmed he had secretly been murdering babies from that very first year. Check. So, was Trump prophesied? Is he the government leader as prophesied? Because Pharaoh is a theocracy both in one. Herod is not the religious leader of the Jews, but he is the religious leader of the Romans. And his time frame is way off. It's prophecy rather than actual history. As it gives us this 23rd September 2017 date in those passages. So for this, we go to the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon tells us this. 1 Nephi, chapter 1. It says, in the first year, Nephi is born. They don't tell us he's born. Nephi is talking to us from the Promised Land, recording a history of the people, which is a pattern throughout the Book of Mormon. And abridging, thanks to Junior, who gave Martin Harris the 116 pages, is doing an abridgment of the record of Lehi, his father. And so he is not listed in leaving Jerusalem that first year, because he's not born. He's born after they get to the Red Sea. So Sarai was pregnant with him. And so there screws up your whole Book of Mormon video series that the church will not be finishing, because we have something coming up on Wednesday. They aren't planning to release them until 2022. Though they have finished, they've just got to do all the splicing and editing and production stuff. So they're not going to release it till next year if nothing happens. But like I said, everything has happened in specific detail so far. And so only the enemy can say, no, we're changing our mind. We're not going to fulfill prophecy. We're going to be good and screw everything up. Okay, guys, we were just kidding about coronavirus. Okay, we need everybody to stay home and stay safe. Here's a supply of food to keep you home so that you don't need money. No, not likely to happen. Coronavirus was one of those other things that was prophesied, both by Joseph Smith and the Moses story. And in this first year that Lehi leaves Jerusalem, it is understood that that year is 600 years prior to the coming of the Christ. Some problems, though. The first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, which, having known in advance that 2017 is the first year of the latter days, therefore the presidential election in 2016 would be the Book of Mormon's fulfillment of this. And so yes, it is Trump who is Zedekiah. And we've also confirmed that Trump is the one who's been killing babies since that first year, as he's calling himself the chosen one. I am the chosen one, because that Chinese religion, apocalyptic religion church, said I am. And see, I've got a golden Donald just to prove it to you. And everybody can worship at CPAC, which also was prophesied. Idol statues. And isn't it interesting that both the religious leader and the government leader both came out with their own version of statues for the people to worship? Wow. Talk about your precision of prophecy. What's interesting is that historically, the first year of Zedekiah was actually 597 BCE. So Jerusalem came and conquered in 586 BCE. And so 600 years from that date would be 4 CE. Some years after Herod, but yes, it's not meant to be historical. It's code. And the Book of Mormon had to be rewritten because of Junior with this specific difference. We know there was a sign in the heavens in 4 CE. We have the technology to have computer programs to have everybody have their own Urim and Thummim to see into the past, the present, and the future. It's called Stellarium. It's awesome. You can even run it when the internet is down, which lately has happened quite a lot. Even 3 times today. They want me silenced. You'd think that would be a clue to you guys. And where did that eclipse take place? Well, in Russia. A major city yet to be determined in Russia. Wouldn't you know it? Both the government leader and the religious leader are doing business with the Russians currently. Huh. And it's also significant because 2024 CE, that total solar eclipse occurred on 8 April. Guess what we already know is coming on our Urim and Thummim for the future on 8 April 2024? A total solar eclipse, the third day of darkness, from Revelation 19 verses 11 and 17. But over America. See, these 3 days of darkness are over America. They're not over Egypt, not over Russia, not over Israel. America. So we've confirmed the location with the total solar eclipses. The 3 days of darkness. And so we can now go through all of Scripture and put the Ezekiel, when the parable says that he took the twig from the cedar of Lebanon to faraway country, to a city of merchants where he's born, where he lives, and then where he moves to. Great Lakes, mountains. It's in America. So you use America as the template for checking off your prophecy list. But we're focusing on 2017 being fulfilled. But if you do math, 4 AD is 2,200 years, or 2,020 years before the 2024 one, exactly on the same day. In 2020, that's when coronavirus was unleashed. In 2020 was the Jewish New Year that the Jews have designated 3,333 years from Moses' Exodus and their coronavirus. So, wow, there's some deep stuff going on here. But that's for the coronavirus in 2020. But the fact that Russia was involved in 4 CE, and that Russia is involved in 2017, being Babylon putting Zedekiah on the throne of Jerusalem. It means a foreign government puts an American president in the presidency in the 2016 election, 200 years before it happened. It was warned about. Check. If you're going to live in denial that the Mueller report showed no conspiracy, you're deceiving yourself. There's life and death going on for this Wednesday. If you're going to continue to deny the prophecies that have already happened, so that you can therefore deny the prophecies that are about to happen and will happen, you are committing an act of treason. Because remember, Joseph Smith also said, hey, in the latter days, there will be a need to save America and the Constitution. As you guys have all been taught that it's supposed to be hanging by a thread, that's not what Joseph Smith said in 19 July 1840, which you can find in the Joseph Smith papers. It wasn't put in our Doctrine and Covenants because Brigham Young didn't like being called Judas. How dare Joseph Smith say the word Judas? Still mad over Thomas B. Marsh. Yeah. Yes. Very much so. Alrighty. So that's basically it for 2017. Is Revelation 12 has 3 separate signs for 2017, and then one for the beginning of 2018. And I've done the videos previously, though I have a whole new audience apparently, so I could redo them or find them and upload them again. But I'll redo them probably. I've been trying to learn the movie maker these 4 years before I'm getting better. I'm getting better. And so this is why I'm so concerned for your safety. Is because things are happening. Things that if I didn't know that the enemy was purposely using prophecy to force the fulfillment for the sole purpose of destroying religion, that I would be shocked about how accurate things are. And I'm still shocked by the Mormon and the detail on him. That just blows my mind, because that evil can't be in charge of that. They had no interest in having that happen. They want him dead and gone to prove that religion is a fraud. But all of the wickedness part is being fulfilled. And so yes, again, I'm concerned for the 22nd, because Mormons are still not listening. And Joseph Smith specifically replaced Deuteronomy with Acts for the one word.